All right, my beautiful, amazing people. As always, I like to bring on somebody amazing. This is my man here, Nathan Zadworny. And Nathan is a fellow Canadian, which already gets him like at least 5 or 6 extra cool points. He just bought a nice big house, and he's going through something that I know a lot of you guys have brought to me over the last kind of few months. Is this idea that I'm gonna suddenly pivot? Either I'm gonna go into a new niche, or serve a new person, or enter a new market. And sometimes, there's different motivations for it. Some of it has been all the restrictions going on in the world, and some of it has just been to want to level up and do something that's more exciting and more kind of a greener pasture. And Nathan is a perfect example of that, because he's a badass, and he's closing people without phone calls. We got a mutual mentor that's kind of taught us how to do that.
Yeah.
And now he's getting into the world of kind of up leveling his people, and I wanted to kind of bring him on to kind of share his insights on that. So firstly, Nathan, welcome. You get your long-term socially distanced Zoom high five. And
Thank you
secondly, I
for
wonder if you
inviting
might,
me, Frankie.
um, yeah, dude, it only makes it cooler to have us together. Wonder if you'd just share a little bit of your journey, because it's not as if like things were broken in your business and you had a shitty business and you couldn't make it work. It's more like, hey, I'm ready to go one level higher and do something I really, really love doing. So take people, firstly, into your world. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, thank you, Frankie. I appreciate you being here, you inviting me, and getting the chance to spend some time with you. I've been doing this now for a couple of years, um, and kind of felt myself knocking on a door about 6 months ago, where I was sort of serving the same clients who had the same problems. And even though I was really grateful to have those clients, and I was really I really connected with a lot of them as people, I felt a calling to kind of do what I was doing at a different level, or apply what I knew that I was good at doing, and applying it to different types of people. And so even though things weren't necessarily broken, like you said, I could have kept, working and serving the same kind of people. I felt the passion starting to ebb, and that was starting to affect the quality of the content that I was putting out in order to attract these people. It was starting to affect the quality of the conversations that I was having with these people in order to really dig into what they were, dealing with. And I hate to say it, but to a certain extent, it was starting to affect the attention that I was paying while I was delivering the service or coaching or guiding people in their, as I was delivering the service. So I realized, like I said, probably about 3 months ago, somewhere around the beginning of the year, I guess it's close to 6 months ago, that it wasn't going to work for me anymore, and that I needed to be excited and challenged in my work again, and that I wasn't going to be served with the group of people that I had gathered around me in that fashion, and that I needed to be sparked and excited about, and challenged again. And so I basically walked away from an audience that I had been serving for the better part of 2 years, and now I'm building a new audience. Mostly the same types of people, the same types of markets and verticals, but they're just further along in their journey.
Yeah.
I can help them more effectively and more quickly, get greater results for them, and feel excited and challenged about serving them.
Yeah, you dropped a word in there that I really like, is the passion. And obviously I know it's a word, but
Mm.
like I see your kind of eyes light up when you say it. And I think it's one of the things that is one of those hidden metrics in growing any kind of sort of online business that I don't think enough people appreciate, is like just how fun the day to day is. And I'll tell you, the biggest metric that affects that in my experience has always been the people. If you're not like super excited about the people, and I had something similar. I remember when I first broke into the lawyer space. I remember I got a lot of the beginning kind of struggling lawyers, and for a time it was useful and it served me to help people that were just like, and I'd get questions like, do you really think advertising can work? Do you think after 40 years I can be saved of not doing this? and kind of like what I consider to be like kind of low level beginner questions. And then when you get into the more higher end um, people, you start to realize you can help them because they're more agile, they move quicker, they're already like on step 10 with you, so you don't have to like educate them on why step 10 is worth it. I wonder if you share a little bit about the kind of person that you would just realize you weren't having any fun with, and maybe the kind of person that showed you, hey, like actual better higher level person is possible, and I would have more fun and be more excited to work with this people. Like, is there, without naming names, is there kind of an example of each
Yeah.
one of those?
Yeah, totally. So I can generalize more or less the sort of the type of people that I have been serving, and then I can point to specific cases of actual clients without naming names or giving too much away of like, this is possible for me. So the folks that I had been serving were very much kind of noobs, so to speak. Like they had just started their venture, they had just started their consulting or their coaching practice, or they just started delivering their services, and they were still struggling with a lot of, well, I shouldn't say this because we all struggle with mindset or mental block issues or issues where we feel like we're not confident as much as we could be, or we have imposter syndrome or whatever it is. But um, I felt to a certain extent like I was doing more of that sort of work rather than the actual like um, helping them like tweak the actual steps of the process that we were going
Right.
through.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, actually like helping them get the results. There was one client that I can, and I will talk. There was one client who was super super excited to work with me. He was stoked. He said he had everything he needed, but and then when he was happy to join up and stuff, and then he would just disappear for 3 weeks at a time. And I'm not the kind of guy that like is there, like poking and prodding every single day. That's
Yeah.
not what I do. And I warn people ahead of time, say, I will hold you accountable if you're running alongside of me, but I'm not good at poking and prodding and getting
Yeah.
things to move along. So that's an example. People not being able to get, um, people jumping in and asking me to do things for them that I'm specifically not saying. Like, I think, and I don't want to go too far into this, but I think if you build a business around your personality or your persona, you will get people that want to work with you, but they will want you to help them with things that you just either don't want to do or don't have any expertise in doing. And to a certain extent, I had kind of created a group of fans that really, really loved my content and loved my attitude and loved what I was saying. And they'd be like, hey, Nate, I want to work with you. I need help with this. And I'd be like, and then you got to decide between the money and the love.
Mm.
And even though the money feels good up front, the lack of love always kills you long term.
Yeah.
So I got a couple people that were like, Nate, I'm ready to do this. I love to sell. I'm not afraid of creating content. I want to challenge myself. I want to push myself. I'm currently selling at this level. I want to sell at this level, or I've got this group of people that have bought at this level. I want to sell something to them at this level. I'm motivated. I'm ready to go. And what I've noticed is that they pay right away or very quickly. And when you help them do something, you collaborate on something to do together, they act on it right away. And those are the kind of people that I think, they may have their mindset issues, they may have their confidence issues, we all do, but they're not afraid to experiment, and they're not afraid to just do something. And those are the kind of people that I want to, that when I saw that, and I saw that I could actually get those people to another level in their business, I was like, holy shit, I want to help more of those people.
Yeah, that's really
Does
beautiful.
that make sense to you?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, I was a Travis metaphor. I was like, because I've dealt with some of the same. Is like when you're dealing with certain people on kind of one level, even though what you're best at helping them do is learn how to swim and tweak the process, you end up spending so much time just convincing them to step into the pool in the first place.
Yeah.
And then they put one toe in and go, ooh, it's cold. And you go, well,
Yeah.
there's only one way, just jump in. and the best people are already swimming alongside you, and you're saying, hey, like, let's, if you tweak the stroke, you're going to go twice as fast, or you're actually going
Yes.
sideways here, and if you turn here, you're going to actually, complete a lap. So I can definitely feel that. Actually kind of reminds me, I told my mastermind group this earlier. We had a little boot camp for lawyers in Chicago, and I remember there were like 15, 20 lawyers, and one of them was kind of like a big shot guy who was big enough that he had brought in his manager to buy a ticket with him as well.
Okay.
And it was 3 days long, and probably about 50, 60% of it was just me talking, which is a long time to listen to me.
It is. Wow.
Although
To anybody, really.
and I remember at some point about 2, 3 hours into it, him and his manager went off to the side. They were talking and they were looking at their phone, and that was it. They just didn't engage with us the whole time. And at some point, we went around and we got to the end of the thing, and we asked for, it was the first time we had ever done this. We asked like feedback, like, hey, what did you like? What did you not like? Do you have any suggestions for improvement? And we went around and we got to this guy, and we were all just kind of like rolling our eyes, waiting for the misery to come as he told us what a horrible thing or how unimportant it was in his world. And he said, I thought it was fucking fantastic. My manager and I have been figuring out how to implement all this with our team. And every time you guys said something, we're like, that's a good idea. Let's do that too. So we've been communicating with our team, figuring out how to get things done. And I went in a matter of like 10 seconds from thinking like he didn't care at all and didn't like us to realizing, no. He was the biggest implementer of the group and was getting things done in real time. And therefore it was like extremely valuable to him. And so I can definitely see that. I'd love to know just a little bit, maybe if you're open to sharing a little vulnerable moment here, is
Sure.
what that kind of like dark night of the soul is like when you're sitting there thinking about blowing up a business that's actually working, because I've done that a few times in my life as well. And what kind of motivates you to realize you can have something better and to go ahead and just, to let go of the good in order to pursue the great.
Yeah. So the results, so I knew that I was not as enthusiastic about the business about like quite a quite a few months, probably 3, 4 months before I started noticing that it was affecting the business itself. And it took a wake up call from me, which was I brought on 2 clients that I knew weren't a good fit for me, and um, and they flamed out after a month. And so I lost 2 more clients who weren't excited about. No, I shouldn't say that. They had hit a rut. They were spinning their wheels, and I was helping them, but I wasn't like really challenging them. You know what I mean? They'd achieved a certain level of success. Then they started spinning their wheels, and I wasn't really challenging them. And so, we ended the contract. And so 4 clients in about 3 months. And I was like, shit, Nate, you're not having fun with these people anymore.
Yeah.
You're just not having fun with these people anymore. But at the same time, I had brought on two new clients who were fucking gangbusters. And, I'm still like people that I'm still working with, right? And they're gangbusters. And so,
for those of you by the way, they're not cool enough to understand our slang, gangbusters is really good.
Super good.
Yeah.
Beauty, eh? Yeah. So,
it's a good Don
so, so I knew, it's so, God, those guys, good Canadian kids.
Kids, if you're going to be a hockey player, be one of those good Canadian kids from Peterborough, Ontario.
I'm getting too vulnerable for you here. It's what I'm hearing right now with the Don.
No, please do. Sorry, I'm just.
No, it's totally cool. I'm bearing my heart to you, buddy, and you're throwing.
Oh, sorry, dude. I gotta hug you.
No, it's all good.
You know I love you, man. You know I love you.
Okay, so what I knew was inside of me started to manifest in the outside, and I was like, "Fuck this! I got to fucking do something about this." And so I was like, what am I going to do about this? And so I said, I can keep doing what I'm doing, or I can go somewhere else. And I knew that doing what I'm doing wasn't going to be a plan. So I sort of got the water splashed on my face, woke up and was like, okay, what do I do? At the
Yeah.
same time, we sold the house. I said, okay, I've got a little bit of a cushion to experiment here. Spend about a month not doing anything, and now I'm doing something again.
Back
So
in the saddle. You're too driven as an entrepreneur to not get back in the saddle. Like you
I
get
just
bored.
like it.
Yeah.
It's just fun. The work is fun again,
Yeah.
and so that's what's important for
Okay,
me.
we're going to talk about that because I think that's
Okay,
really, really key. Um, I wanted to. I see a hummingbird, by the way. That's really cool. Uh,
awesome.
um, but I was thinking about that. In theory, it should be like for a lot of people when you begin in business and they hear something like, "Okay, somebody's paying you," and then they just disappear and you don't have any more deliverable. That would sound like the coolest thing in the world. But actually, your sort of sense of purpose and self-esteem and confidence and I've seen it a lot too in the agency space as well, where like not only that, but they leave disappointed. Like
Mm.
it only makes it harder to bring in the next person. But you've said like the fun has been restored. I'd love to know just kind of your thoughts about like these new people you've brought in, like what that looks like and how the fun has been restored and how that's kind of showing up for you and where you kind of see taking that going forwards. Because I think it's such a beautiful place. Like all these people that are pivoting, most people who ask me like questions about pivoting ask, do you think there's money in this niche? And the truth is, in every niche, there's some people who got money and there's some people who don't. And
Yeah,
if you're just trying to like, is there money in this niche? It's a bad way to look at it because you don't have the same drive and passion in every niche. And like the optimizing for fun is so underrated because it'll get you through, the quote unquote hard times. So I'd love to hear just more about like the new people you brought on and where you see taking that going forward.
yeah. The new people I brought on already have a modicum of success or have had a modicum of success in the past. They're stars, and they just need me to help them shine a little brighter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think like there's nothing wrong with helping folks that are just getting started or just getting established or are in transition and want to start something new. But it can be a grind. It can be a grind. And like you were saying, in any market, there's people that don't have money and there's people that do have money. It's why people buy Kias or people buy Mercs. You know what I mean? It's like, what, like I always go back to Seth Godin, like, what is the problem that they really want solved? Travis says, what are you really selling? And Seth Godin says, oftentimes you're selling status as much as you're selling a thing or a service, right? So what is really driving the person that you want to sell to? So for me, a big thing for the people that I want to sell to is they want to implement quick. They want the solution to take hold quick. They're not afraid of doing the work. They're not afraid of failing. And they want to be able to just plug what they're already doing into a new way that will free up resources, time, energy, and because
Little
they're
timer.
they're slogging it away somewhere, and it's not working for them anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do. You know.
I love that, dude. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. That's really beautiful to me because I think that's the right way. I knew I'd get some gems out of you on this one. Is you know, like kind of like we said earlier. You can help people to jump into the pool, and there's certainly a need for that. But I think the longer and longer you do this, the more I've realized we don't necessarily like turn losers into winners. And I don't say that in a judging way, like if somebody's not successful in business that they're a loser, but just to kind of make the point. But we're more amplifiers of winning and amplifiers of success. We help people
Yeah.
who are already running the race to run it better, faster, to make less mistakes. Somebody who's already run 80 yards down the football field and needs help closing the last 20. We don't help people to gain the first yard, which can be done. And so I think that there's really something amazing about that. Be curious to know if you did any sort of like journaling or writing process that maybe somebody listening to this who's going through that same thing where they're kind of just either the passion or the joy is gone, or they've realized just market conditions, they need to pivot. If you kind of like looked at, these are my ID people, these are the ones who aren't a fit. If you had some kind of like kind of thought process that led you to see it kind of clearly, or is it just you just sat with yourself long enough until it all kind of made sense?
No, it's funny that you say that, and um, thank you for the insights. And I totally agree with you on the, kind of like the whole like helping people make that last 20 yards, right? Like if you can find those people that are in that market that you can somehow help them with that last 20 yards, then everything becomes a lot more fun. Um, I journal regularly as part of just my daily life. I've been doing it for like 5 years or more, 7 years. There's a website, if I can plug. I'm not a
Plug away, brother.
affiliate or anything for this. It's a website called 750words.com. So 750words.com. And it's based on the artist's way thing of writing 3 pages first thing in the morning, but it's online. So you open up, it's $5 a month. Actually, they give it to you free for 30 days, and then you pay $5 a month if you want to keep using it. Just open it up. It's just a blank sheet, and I just start typing, and I do it, and it says, okay, you've hit your 750 words, and you can keep going if you want or not or whatever, and it just stores it all. For me, it's a lot easier than writing longhand, especially that first brain dump in the morning that I like to do. And yeah, one of the topics that I keep coming back around to, but especially in this last 6 months of transition, is okay, who do I want to work with? I know that what I do gets people results, but now who do I really want to plug that framework into?
Yeah.
Who do I want to serve? Who's going to get me freaking stoked to wake up again and share ideas and insights with? Who am I going to be stoked to, talk to on a chat or on a call or whatever, or who am I not going to get sick of seeing every week? And I never got sick of seeing my clients, but I got sick of trying to solving the same old problems for the same people over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Who am I going to get stoked? And this is not going to be the end of it. That's one other thing that maybe I don't want to talk too much, but I don't think this is ever going to stop changing. Like I think in 5 years or even 2 years, I'm going to iterate again. I'm going to be like, okay, who's the new who? That's like, we're always growing. We're always wanting to step forward, and we always get bored and want a new challenge.
Yeah.
And so that's going to happen again in another couple of years, probably. I'm excited about that.
I'm excited for you. I get to hear your wins every week, so that's extra awesome. Yeah, I just want to add for those people listening, because I think they're like kind of a great recap of. I think the especially in my agency space, like too many people ask questions about who they think has money, and too many questions about like their hammer. Like I do SEO, I do
Yeah.
AdWords. Who needs AdWords? And not enough about who would be fun for me. And I've always said that in like a lifestyle kind of agency, you're never really going to have more than 100 clients. Like you're not trying to build like a 9-figure empire and exit in those kind of things. Like you're usually just trying to have like, some time, some lifestyle, some flexibility to be able to take care of yourself and the people you care about. And so the clearer and clearer you can be about who those 100 people are, and the more specific you can be, the better it's going to be. So I love that you're asking that question, the who, and not, do these people have money? And questions like kind of like, do you think it would work here? Because if you ask who you can most help and who you would most feel inspired to and who you would most enjoy, you may not immediately get the answer. In fact, I find usually I ask those kind of questions too, and usually I don't. But then I'll go, oh, you know what? So-and-so, it actually fits that description. Well, what was it about so-and-so that made them really good? And you can kind of break it down. So I think that's really useful for anybody listening. I'm going to cut it short here just because
Okay.
we're about to jump on another call right here, my man. But I wanted to just ask, if somebody wanted to find out more about your new venture and they were a fit, where should they head over? What should they check out? Give us a plug.
Well, my last name is very unique. So if you find me on Facebook or on LinkedIn, find me on LinkedIn if
Yeah, I'll put
I'm
some
doing more
links
activity
below
there, to
this
be
interview.
honest with you. Yeah, I'll shoot you over the link to my LinkedIn if they want to give me a follow or connect with me there and find out more about what I do. I mean, essentially what I do is I just I help people sell stuff without phone calls.
Yeah.
So if you've got something that you like selling and that's selling, and you've got people to sell it to, and you're sick to death of being on the phone, hit me up, yo.
Amen to that. As somebody who is a recovering uh, um, strategy session person, Nathan
Yeah,
can
dude.
say,
I just want to give a shout out to your book. Your book really, really opened my mind, not only about all that stuff, but just about like that chapter on setting expectations, and that chapter on keep and you setting the terms for the deliverables and the accountables, and you keeping them updated so that you're not leaving people, like, just treating your customers like fucking people.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But you determining the course of the relationship. I mean, I don't know how many people are seeing this that have already bought your book, probably quite a few. But that book, even as somebody that doesn't run an agency, I, I loved it. I loved
yeah.
it. I wrote it. I'm sorry, I'm blowing some sunshine up your ass
No, I
here,
love that.
but I'm
Like,
not,
no,
because
no,
it really, I read it over 2 nights, and I just loved it.
yeah.
So,
That actually, I have a friend named Peter who came to visit me in La Paz here, and he won a 2 Comic Club award winner, and he had like an agency doing like 200,000 a month or something like that. And he focused for the longest time on getting better and better results, bigger return on ad spend in Facebook, and people just ended up miserable. And we had a big powwow, and between us just figured out how important setting expectations was. And then he decided to tweak that, and all of a sudden clients started getting happy, and the results didn't get any better, which blew my mind. And people say you need results, and obviously you do. You're not going to keep clients with 0 results, but in the agency space, the only half of what you do is your deliverable. Half of what you do is communicating your deliverable. And probably running us a little long, making us late for our mastermind, but really good example. There's a house being built next door to me, and I asked my neighbor what it was like getting his house built, and he said it was a terrible experience because he basically spent half of his life savings or more to buy a house sight unseen, and then for 6 months he didn't know how it was going, and he didn't know whether it was getting built, and they would send him periodic updates, and they were half-assed updates that were in Spanish, and he doesn't speak Spanish, and they weren't easy for him to translate. So he didn't feel at ease about the whole relationship until 6 months later, when he could see the house and touch it and go, oh, thank God it like actually got built and I didn't get ripped off. And I compare that to agency work, because a lot of times we're building houses for clients on their behalf. And if you don't call them up and say, hey, like, here's a little video we just did this land survey. Hey, here, we just finished the foundation. Hey, look, now you got a frame here. There's walls and stuff. And you proactively let them know that like everything's on schedule. Or even when you screw up, like those things go a long, long way towards keeping clients, because like if you think what you only do is the deliverable, building the house, they built a good house, and he's not going to recommend them, and he's going to hate that experience. So.
Right. Yeah. Little wins for them every step of the way, right? Even just an update.
Yeah.
Here's the update. Here's what we're doing. We're pouring the concrete today. Here's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, the rebar's going in. Oh, check it out.
Yeah, I can tell you've worked with just, and I haven't, because I don't know shit.
No, you. Yeah.
All right, brother. We're gonna switch Zoom meetings here. Much love and thank you for this. And cheers to you guys.
Thanks for this, Frankie.
Yeah, you got it, brother.